The Eastern Cape government has scrapped its provincial ICT strategy after it emerged that some contents of the document were plagiarized. Now, it's alleged that the only intellectual property in the document is the implementation plan. The strategy was signed off and approved by Premier Mabuyane and the provincial cabinet. We're now joined by provincial Premier Mabuyane spokesperson Mvusiwekhaya Sicwetscha. Mvusiwekhaya, good afternoon and thank you for joining us here on the Newsfeed Late Night, rather on the Newsfeed PM. Now, talk to me about what has happened here. Who was paid to come up with this strategy?
Thank you for having us, and good evening to you and your viewers. Look, the responsibility to come up with the strategy was given to the Digital Council. This council is made up of heads of IT in provincial departments, public entities, and municipalities. So one of the key performance areas of that is to provide this ICT strategy.
So you're telling me that the whole entire council, none of them could come up with original ideas, as opposed to this being a responsibility of one individual. There was a council of a collection of minds coming together, and all of them together decided to copy a strategy from Australia?
The document comes from them, and obviously the council is coordinated by the general manager in the office of the Premier. So we are looking into this matter in terms of the entire value chain that led to the process, to the document being submitted to the government, to see what happened, what went wrong where, who made what contribution. Because for us to address the problem holistically, we need to understand that and look at the possibility that the same problem, embarrassing problem we have now, to check whether it is not the case in some departments, because the process of producing this involved heads of ITs in these departments. Yeah. So key to what the Premier has done was to make sure that we withdraw this document and get a document that comes out of a process with good integrity, a document that addresses the ICT needs of the people of our province, the ICT needs that our economy needs, for us to attract investments, to create opportunities within the ICT space for young entrepreneurs to do business, and for others to come and invest money into our province.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how the province views an act of this nature, but I mean, in law, when you push a document or an idea as if it's an original idea coming from you, it's called fraud. And that is a serious case, more than just being embarrassing for the department, but it is fraud that has been committed. And has a case of fraud been opened?
We are investigating this matter, but this is the point. The first point was to check and verify this. And when it was verified, we removed the document from the records of government. The second one is now to look at who made what, and so that we can be able to take that. We're starting disciplinary actions, and those disciplinary actions are going to help us to unearth exactly those things, so that when we have a full knowledge of who played what part, we are able to take any action that is required based on the information that we get from this process.
Yeah, but I mean, what information are you looking for? It's already been established from your statement that
we're looking at how
plagiarism.
To this point, who plagiarized this document? Because at the moment we've got a document that we've confirmed that it was plagiarized, and the document that we looked at was also plagiarized, by the way, from another country. Yeah. So we have to look at the whole process, that who played what, because the dynamic here is that you're not dealing with a process that was done by a division. You're looking at something that was done by a collective of colleagues. So we have to look at that thoroughly, not to look at it in a hurry and end up making blunders.
Who will be conducting that? Who will be conducting that?
There are consequences for this wrongdoing.
Who will be conducting that investigation?
It's conducted by the office of the Premier.
The document is coming from the same government that's going to be investigating itself. Why not give it to law authorities or other agencies to investigate what actually happened there?
Look, I'm not saying we are not going to do that, but what we take to the law enforcement agencies needs to be clear. so that we say to them, if there is a fraud, this is fraud that was caused by this person, and this is the suspect, so that their work is to prosecute and deal with those issues. We would love to know from the colleagues
that's not
that
how
were
it
working
works.
process,
That's not how it
any
works.
information that they have on the matter.
That's not how it works. You give it to the police, they do their investigations, they will come up with who is the suspect and who is responsible. You cannot direct the police on who they should investigate. You should give them the information that you have at hand, which is plagiarism, which is corruption, which is fraud that has happened, and let them investigate who are the people responsible.
You're making a good point. We'll look into that.
And, of course, what is going to happen then as far as this strategy is concerned?
It has been withdrawn. It's no longer in our records as government. We have withdrawn it from the institutions of government that we have to submit it to. We've informed them of this immediately when it came to the Premier's attention. So we are in the process now of developing a proper ICT strategy of the province that looks at the needs of the people of our province. Because, I mean, it's wrong that we think when you look at the document, we need to take something from years back from another country when our people have got clearly defined problems now, which our plans, our PDP says we must address so that we grow our economy, we reduce unemployment, we attract investment into our country. So that's what we're focusing on. And we're looking at what role can be played by industry organizations, academics from universities in our province, so that we can address this problem going forward.
Is there any part of the strategy that was already being implemented, already in motion?
Not really.
So it was only just approved and it was pretty much sitting on the shelves?
No, man, come on. It was approved recently, and departments, when one department was working on the implementation, they picked this up, and that MEC informed the Premier, and the Premier started to withdraw the document, and the action that I've spoken to has already been taken on the matter.